Yeah, so before you start a project, you need to set that base foundation on which all your drawings will be upon. So that's what we'll be doing in this video. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me on episode number 2 of our 1-bedroom series. Alright, so if you missed episode number 1, you need to go back and you need to watch that one. So check the description below for that video. Alright, so what we're doing is to draw a 1-bedroom house from start to finish. Alright, this one in particular. Alright, so pretty simple, pretty neat, just a rectangle, and we're going to roof it up. We're going to try to model as much as we can, and yeah, we're going to add dimensions, we're going to draw the property, we're going to do everything. Okay, so today's video is about setting up or setup. Yeah, so before you start a project, you need to set that base foundation on which all your drawings will be upon. But before you start to set up, you need to figure out which unit of measurement you're going to use. And in order to do that, you need to know what unit is acceptable in the country that you're in. In Jamaica, we use the metric system. So we have the imperial system and we have the metric system. So if you don't know what these are, this is what they look like. Okay? So the imperial system or the standard system deals with feet and inches, while the metric system deals with millimeters, meters, kilometers, that kind of stuff. The imperial system is represented in fractions, while the metric system is represented in decimals. Jamaica, in this case, requires millimeters. I personally prefer to use the imperial system because I prefer fractions over decimals in this case. For some reason, I just think it's easier for me to understand. 12 feet is easier to remember than 3,529 millimeters. So we will be doing this project in feet and inches. However, there is a way that you can use the program to show both dimensions so that it is now acceptable by parish council. You get the drift? Alright, so that's the first thing you need to. Once you have decided, then we can now set up our project on that system. Whichever one you choose to use, the same principles apply. I just needed to explain that. Now we're going to move over to AutoCAD, where you need to understand what's happening and how to go about setting up your project. Alright, let's go. Alright, so here we are on the computer. So I have both units of measurement on my installed on my computer. I have imperial and I have metric. So whichever one you're going to use, we're going to use, well, I'm going to use imperial for this project. So if you're going to use metric, of course you would want to select that one. Now if you're not seeing one on your screen, then what you can do is just follow what I'm doing here. So we would go to control panel and we would go to programs and features right here and look for AutoCAD Architecture, and then we're going to say change. Alright, so what we're looking at here is the installer for AutoCAD Architecture. You should be familiar with this screen when you were installing the software. Alright, so what we're going to click on is this one over here, add or remove features, and that will bring up this option. So as you can see, I have both units selected. Alright, now that is the reason why you can see that I have both here, because I already had them both selected here. So if you need one or the other, you would go ahead and select and follow through with the instructions. Okay, so since I already have them both, I'll just X this off. Alright, and then once you're done with that, then we'll open up AutoCAD. Alright, so here we are on the AutoCAD dashboard. So the first thing we're going to do is to set up our project. So let's go ahead, look for the project browser icon at the top here. That's going to bring you to what we call the project browser. All right, now when you're going to open a project or create a new project, this is where you would start. As I said, you would open your project here as well, because if you notice, this is the folder that they are saved in. So we have documents, my documents, Autodesk, my projects, and you can see all your drawings will be stored here. And if you open this one, which is the one that you're seeing over here, and you go inside, you will see that it has multiple files. What happened is that it creates a separate file for each element of your project. All right, so we would put the first floor on a separate file. We would put the ground floor in a separate file, and so on and so forth. And I will explain to you why it works like that. All right, so you want to ensure that you open your project from this browser. All right, so of course I have this project open now. I'm going to close it and we're going to start a new project. All right, so we click on this button. We're going to create a new folder first. I'm going to give our drawing a number, so D03, since that's where we're at. Drawing number 3. We're going to call this one bedroom house. All right, so that's that. Open it up, and then now once we're inside of that folder, we're going to create a new project. So go ahead. We're going to give our project a number. It's important that you give your project a number, guys. All right, so bear that in mind. Of course, we're going to call this 1 bedroom house. And you can add a description like 1 bedroom dwelling to be constructed at or in Hatfield, Manchester, Jamaica, whatever, something. You can just put a description there if you want. You don't have to. And of course, we're not going to use a template at this time because we didn't create any. So I'm going to say OK. Now your project has been created. So if I should bring this folder back up, now you see that it has been created here. All right, so put that away. And once you see that it is bold, that means that project is active, so we can close. All right, good. So now that that's done, what happened now is that this becomes active, and this is called your project navigator. Now if you're not seeing this, what you would do is click on it up here. So you'd find it up here, click on it, you get it back. All right, so now we're actually inside of our 1 bedroom house project. Drawing number 3, description. All right, so now this is where you're going to set up your project. All right, the project navigator is responsible for combining all your files. This is where all your files are being kept in an organized fashion. All right, so you would have project settings here, you would do your drawings in here, you would create your views, and then finally you would create your sheets, and everything would be in an organized fashion right here. All right, so first thing we need to do is to set up the project. So we go and we click on this edit project button. All right, that's already there, that's already there. That good. We're gonna change these to yes, yes, and then we're gonna find some templates. So being that we're going to use Imperial, we're going to select CTB. All right, go ahead. Imperial CTB, open. And we're going to do the same thing for sheet templates. We're going to say, go down to sheet Imperial CTB, open. And then you would select the size sheet that you want to use on this project. So we're going to use 24 by 36, which is too big for a tiny 1-bedroom house, but this would be like the regular sheet size that we would use in Jamaica. All right, especially for a residential project. All right, good. So then we would apply, and then we would say okay, and of course we would say yes. Make sure you read through these stuff before you click. All right, good. So now that your project is set, we're gonna now need to set our levels. All right, so I want to explain to you what levels are before we move on. Now I have this little drawing here, and I have a ruler. Of course, I was a teacher, so I understand how to point with ruler. So yeah, so what I have here is a elevation, and I want to explain what levels are. All right, so a building can be broken down into levels. All right, and levels simply mean if you have multi-story buildings, you would have level 1, which would be the lowest floor, and then level 2, level 3, level 4 as you go up. All right, now this project is just a 1-bedroom. Really and truly, we don't need to break it up in levels, but I want to do something for demonstration purpose. So what we're gonna do is to put the foundation, what is below the ground, on a separate level, and then we're gonna put everything above, which would be the first floor itself or the ground floor, on a level for itself. So what's gonna happen is that we're gonna put so we're gonna call the finished floor level, we're gonna call that the 0 line. So this is the 0 line, and we're gonna make the foundation 4 feet below. All right, so let's say the foundation is gonna look something like this. So we're going to make the foundation 4 feet below the 0 line, below the finished floor level. And then we're going to make the wall, everything above, from the finished floor level to the wall plate, we're going to make that 10 feet. All right, so bear that in mind when we're going to create our levels. All right, so let's look at that. How do we set that up on the computer? So we go ahead and we click on the levels setting, and the first thing we want to enter is the foundation. I want to start from the bottom. All right, so we're gonna name this one, or this level, foundation. How deep do you want it? It's gonna be 4 feet below 0, which would make it -4. Okay, so this would now become -4 feet. So let's do that. -4 feet. All right, and then here you would put in how tall do you want the foundation. Of course, if it is -4 feet below, that's where we want it to start. It's gonna be 4 feet high. So 4 feet high. I'm gonna put in an ID for F, and we're gonna put in a description, foundation. All right, then we're gonna make sure that this is selected. Okay, and you create a new level. What happened now, because this was selected, the new level will now auto adjust elevation. So now our level, our first level now, which would be ground level, now starts at the 0 mark, as you can see here, but now we want it to be 10 feet. That's 10 feet high. Enter, and then we would call this level 1. It has an ID. Let's name it actually ground floor. I'm gonna call this ground floor. Good. So we have our levels. We have foundation, which is 4 feet below. That's where it's gonna start, and we have our ground floor, which is gonna be starting at the 0 mark. All right, guys. So that's how we're gonna do that. All right, and you can always come back and change these, and of course if you had more levels you would continue to create more levels. So let's say, for instance, we had a second floor or we had an upper floor. It would now begin at the 10 feet level, and we would want it to be another 10 feet high, and that would have an ID of 2, and of course we would give it a description. But we're not gonna need this, so let's remove that, and then we're gonna say okay, yes. So now you can see that it's being populated here. All right, and please check the 0 and these measurements here to make sure that they are in imperial or metric, whichever system that you're using. All right, so moving down the list, we have what is called divisions. All right, now divisions, again, for a small project like this you don't need divisions, but I'm gonna be using it for demonstration purpose. All right, so divisions is really if you were to break up a building into sections. Let's say you have the west wing, the east wing, and the north wing, and so on and so forth. If you had let's say a garage that is being attached to the house, or if you have an accessory building somewhere else, you would add divisions to your project. So we're going to add one division. All right, we're going to call it the main building, and what ID should I give it? Description, main building, enter. All right, let's give it M. All right, okay, so we have a division. All right, so everything here is set up. We're good to go. Let's go down to construct. Now this is where you would now start to draw. All right, so we're going to create the different files that we need to draw inside of. So we need to create some construct. So we go right click on that, new, and we say new construct. So we're going to give this a name. The first drawing we would want to do would be our let's say we create a file for the foundation. All right, you can give it a description. I'm not going to give it any. And here you would see the divisions. So of course the foundation that we're going to be drawing will be for the main building, and we're drawing the foundation, so we'll check that. Of course, if you were going to do foundation for, let's say, a garage, which would have its own division, or a accessory building which would have its own division, you would not check this one. You would go and check the one that corresponds with, you get the idea. All right, so we're doing the foundation. All right, we're not going to open the drawing. All right, that is being created, and then we're going to create another one now for the ground floor. So we go ahead and we select ground floor. Okay, all right, now I'm going to open this one so you can see what happens. All right, so what happened is that it opens up the ground floor drawing. So now I can go ahead and draw my ground floor here. Now, if I want to draw foundation, the foundation, I would go into foundation and draw the foundation in this drawing. And it's in 2 separate drawings. Okay? Later, when we're going to create our views, we will be able to combine them to get one entire drawing. But the idea here is to draw all components or all levels on a separate drawing, so that it relieves the pressure on the computer. All right, you don't have too many stuff working with that you don't really need at that moment in time. All right, So that is the reason for that. All right. So we have both our constructs created. We're going to create some elements, and elements are stuff, reference material. So let's say grid lines, if you were to use grid lines, property boundary, that kind of thing. So for this project, I want to try some grid lines, even though it's very tiny, but just to show you how to get that done. So let's create one, call it grid lines, and that's that. So that's all we're going to do for that. I might create another one and call it the property boundary. All right, so you would create each of these in their separate files. So in the next video, we will be exploring our ground floor. Okay, this is our next step. But before we draw the ground floor, we want to lay out our grid lines. Of course, the grid line is totally unnecessary for this project, but I'm going to do it for demonstration purpose. Okay, so that's how you go about setting up your project, guys. So thank you for joining me. I hope that you learned something. If you have any question at all, just drop them in the comments below, and of course I'll try to answer as much as I can, and look out for the next video. So see you guys. Big up.